Hello, 7th graders. Today we're going to take a look at STP 3.3, word problems with multiplying fractions. You may want to take some notes on these on a separate sheet of paper. That may help you with assessments we do in the future. So number 62 says, of the students in Mr. Boggs' class, 3/5 participate in an after-school sport. Of these, 1/3 participate in track and field. What fraction of the students participate in track and field? So it's looking at what fraction of. When we are finding a fraction of something, we multiply. And in this case, we know that it's 1/3 of, so that would be 1/3 times the number of students who participate in a sport. And the number of people that participate in a sport would be 3/5. So we would be finding 1/3 of 3/5. Now we use the pre-simplifying or cross-reducing that we've been practicing. And if I take a look at this, the 3/3 would reduce to 1/1. So when I multiply across, I have 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 5 is 5. So my answer would be 1/5. So what that's really saying is, of all the students in Mr. Boggs' class, 1/5 of them participate in track and field. Right. Number 63 says, which statement is shown on the number line below? We did some work with number lines when we were working with integers. Remember that you always start at 0, and where you end is your answer. So if we're taking a look at the choices here, we can eliminate H and J because they're telling us our answer is 1/4. And if we look at where we end at 7/4. So that would be our answer. Now, we look at our spacing. How much spacing between each one of these? Well, between each one of these is 1/4, and there is 1/4 7 times. So we want to add 1/4 together 7 times, or a really fast way to do that would be to do 1/4 times 7/4. When it is an MCA question, a nice test-taking strategy for this is to see which problem actually is equivalent or actually works out. If I were to do 1/4 times 7, I would find that the answer is 7/4. Whereas if I look at letter F here, if I did 1/4 plus 7, that equals 7 and 1/4. So that isn't the same as 7/4. Therefore, I would also know that that is not accurate. So again, with these, you can actually solve them and see which one makes a true statement as well. Okay. 64 says, what is the value of the expression 2ab? This is a lot like the formative we've been taking. Remember, when numbers and variables are right next to each other, the operation is multiplication. So this would be 2 times a, which is 5/7, times b, which is -3/8. Remember that with whole numbers, to make them a fraction, we need to put them over 1. And now we do our cross-reducing. In this scenario here, I really only see one place we can cross-reduce. Can you see it? It's the 2 and the 8, which would go down to a 1 and a 4. So now if I multiply 1 times 5 times -3 would be -15. 1 times 7 times 4 would be 28. So it would be -15/28. And it doesn't matter if the negative's up here at the 15, like when I talk through it, or if it's off to the side and just with the whole fraction. They all mean exactly the same thing. I could have also gone back at the end and ignored the negative here, put a 15, and then done a positive times a positive is positive, and a positive times a negative is negative. Going to get the same answer. Right. The length of one side of a square garden tile. So if I think about a square garden tile, The length of one side is 1 2/3. Write the mixed number to represent the perimeter and area of the tile. So notice that in this question, they were asking for two things, for you to find the perimeter and then for you to find the area. Well, one thing we know about a square tile is that if you are looking at its sides, if this side here is 1 2/3, then this side here is also 1 2/3. So now I'm going to start with perimeter. Do you remember what the perimeter of a shape is and how you find it? Well, remember, perimeter is the distance around the outside. So to find the perimeter of a shape, you're going to add all the way around the outside. In this case, you have 4 sides that are 1 2/3. So a fast way to add 1 2/3 4 times would be to take 4 and multiply it by 1 2/3. Or 4 over 1 times, we do the C method. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 would be 5/3. And now I'm going to look to see if I can cross reduce. I can't cross reduce, so I multiply across, and I come up with an answer of 20/3. Now that is an improper fraction, meaning I have more on the top than I do on the bottom. So I'm going to convert that to a mixed number. I ask myself, how many times does 3 go into 20? And if I look at it, 3 goes into 26 times, which is 18. To get to 20, I have to add 2 more out of 3. So my answer would be 6 2/3. Okay. When you see something like this on a calculator, or sometimes when someone is typing it, you might see it written like 6 with a dash 2/3. Like that might be when you look at your Skyward formative, how you're going to see those mixed numbers written, just so that you can see what exactly the whole number is that is combined with the fraction. All right, now we're going to move on to area. Remember that when you are finding the area is length times width. So if I look at this, in this case, the length and width are the same. So it's 1 2/3 times 1 2/3, which, remember, as an improper is 5/3 times 5/3. I can't cross reduce because the numbers that are similar are both on the top or both on the bottom. In order to simplify or pre-simplify, I have to take 1 from the top and 1 from the bottom. So I'm simply going to multiply across, and you would get 25/9. Now I say, how many times does 9 go into 25, which is twice. That makes 18. To get from 18 to 25, I would add another 7/9. So my answer would be 2 7/9 would be the area when I do length times width. Again, when you see that typed up somewhere, you might see it written like this. This is how they show mixed numbers in your Skyward formative. All right, questions on that STP. Hopefully this helps you. Now what you'll do is there's a formative related to this as a follow-up that you can find on Skyward. Take your time, use these notes to look back at them. They are very similar types of problems. All right, have a great day.